Okay, guys. So I hope that the sound is audible now. So, guys, I welcome you all at the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion here at the Thinking Palette platform. Today is 6th of March, and in the today's session, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of Hindu newspaper, all the article along with its background, way forward. We are going to see, and I would like to tell you that you can download the explainer notes of this entire session from Telegram channel. Link for the Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. Now, before moving on, guys, let's see first of all overview of entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are actually are important. Now, first article, tardy police verification nips Kashmiri aspirations. So the article is, guys, broadly talking about that the people in Kashmir, the police verification for their jobs, verification for their passports is being delayed. And it is being said that it might be a deliberate attempt. So some allegations have been made. Okay, so this is the scenario here. Now, guys, we are not required to go too much in detail in this particular article for our examination, not that much important. Okay, then 8 parties write to PM against use of agencies for political witch hunt. So political witch hunt by agencies means that many number of times it is being alleged that Enforcement Directorate CBI is being used to punish the political opponents. Fine. So this is something that has been provided. So here the opposition parties, 8 of the opposition parties have written to Prime Minister. Fine. Moving on further, you are not required to go and track that again. Indian man urinates on co-traveler, not important. Adani project is like a government to government deal. Fine. So now when we talk about these Adani deals and all such things, fine, you are not required to track this every day what is going on here. Okay, then below there is one article, regulators proposal on Rajasthan power lines flouts Supreme Court order, threatens bustard. So this is, guys, an important article with respect to the environment, ecology, as well as for prelims examination also. Some points we are going to see here. Then further moving on, landowners who formed the first consortium rue lack of roads. Okay, now, guys, the regional article, fine, not very much important for the examination. CBI is forcing Sisodia. So largely here we have the regional political articles, and these regional politics, regional political issues, crime and related news is not important for our examination. And in regional section, if you have different edition of Hindu newspaper, Chennai edition, etc., these these sections will be different. Okay, however, much important thing has not been contained here. So we come to editorial page directly, and on editorial page, the first article, utilizing India's moment under the diplomatic sun. So the article is talking about that how India is trying to balance its diplomatic options. Okay, we'll see this article. Side article, tax transition. Okay, now, guys, this particular article talks about the collections of the GST. Okay, and I have told you this many number of times that you are not required to track month by month data on GST, foreign exchange. Okay, month by month data on inflation. Okay, fine. Then further moving on in this particular direction, below, the hardship of a career in Ayurvedic practice. We'll see this article again with respect to the examination. Attack on knowledge. So, guys, recently we have seen this particular thing that the CPR, Center for Policy Research, FCRA license has been suspended. Now, FCRA stands for Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. If any organization wants to accept the foreign donation or foreign funding, they need to have an FCRA license. Okay, so this FCRA license has been suspended. Okay, now it has been said that lately government often uses this particular tool, that is banning of their FCRA license, to punish the think tanks who have been largely critical about the government. So it is being said that such thing is not good. Okay, then further moving on, however, guys, this article has become more and more politicized. Okay, so that political dimension, fine, is often not asked in an exam. Libya's outlook remains bleak. Okay, so, guys, this article is talking about that now the February 17 has been observed as 12th year of uprising in Libya that ended the rule of Gaddafi. Okay, so basically, so 12th year anniversary of end of the Gaddafi's rule. Okay, and the internal politics or the internal situations going in Libya are being discussed. Now, the article, guys, doesn't contains much of substance relevant to UPSC examination. Why? Because in UPSC, international relation is an important segment, but those developments are important which will have direct implication on Indian interest or anything directly related to India's foreign policy. These are the things where the questions are asked. So internal issues of the specific countries, etc., fine, which don't have an direct impact are not that much relevant. Okay, the battle for Simanchal. Okay, so political article, patterns of violence in the Kashmir Valley. So over the years, fine, in different districts, what have been the patterns of the violence, etc., it is being provided. Then coming to text and the context page, a breakdown of the higher pension scheme. So guys, in the last video that we took, there we have already discussed about the uh, recent judgment that has come with respect to the basically now, sorry, this particular article, guys, is talking about the EPF scheme, fine, employee pension fund scheme. Now basically the article, guys, largely is talking about that how the pensionable salary will be calculated. Okay, the pensionable salary average of last 60 months, it has to be multiplied by the number of contributory years. What are the documents that are required? Should one opt for higher pension? Fine. Now the article is giving too much of hairline details with respect to the pension schemes, whether you should basically the documentation, how it is to be calculated, and all such kind of a things. Fine. So I will not suggest you to go too much in detail here. What are biocomputers and how do they function? We'll see this particular article. Now this is an important issue for our science and technology. We'll see this one. Then further moving on, what does the unavailability of Twitter's Slack say about the company's health? Now guys, Slack is a messaging platform that is often used by a corporate for internal communication between their employees. Now basically what has happened recently, the Slack of the Twitter was down, and it was said that it was maintenance work, but it is being said that maybe it is because they have not paid the money to Slack. All these things are being discussed, that what are the theories behind the why the Slack of the Twitter was down. Okay, now not important article for examination, please don't waste your time on that. Then here, this is one important article, away from the spotlight, India holds conference of global intelligence chiefs. We'll see this article with respect to exam. Then side article is also important, nation secure pact to protect marine life in the high seas. We'll see this also. Then political articles, etc., taking the bull by the horn, CCTVs, jhatka machines to keep stray cattle off field. So farmers, they are deploying CCTV cameras. Also the farmers, what they are doing, they are deploying the shock fencing, electric shock fencing around their fields, so that the kettles don't venture in their fields. That is something not important for exam. We are not panicking about the Adani projects in Sri Lanka. More support arrives for our NPP to form government. Entry cases of Rahul's remark. Now majorly these articles are the political statements, issues. Fine, Tamil Nadu governor urges migrant workers not to feel insecure. So recently we have seen that there was a kind of a rumor that got spread in Tamil Nadu that the migrant workers who have largely come from the Hindi speaking regions, they will be attacked. Okay, and because of that particular thing, a panic got started. Okay, so on that particular line, the governor is assuring them. Okay, then after that, further moving on, not important articles. Then here, China increases defense spending by 7.2%. Now you are not required to track how many more billion of dollars, etc., will be spent, would be spent, but we will see that briefly how this particular thing could be an example of China's assertive diplomacy, okay, or China's assertive rise, which they are backing, with increased expenditure in their defense. Okay, then Imran Khan dodges arrest, not important article. Fine. Then going down here, Sri Lanka fishermen fiercely oppose proposal to issue license to Indian fishermen. Okay, so always this has been a big issue between India and Sri Lanka over the fishermen. Okay, so Sri Lankan fishermen often had said this particular thing, that Indian fishermen, particularly from Tamil Nadu, often they have big trawlers, big fishing vessels, and they take the maximum catch, and by that particular thing, the Sri Lankan fishermen, they are impacted. Now the licenses that are being given to them, it is not being liked. Then MoneyWise page. So today on Monday, we don't have business page, we have MoneyWise page, which contains investment related advice, etc., offshore your investment to offset a country risk. Fine, not important article for examination. Then we have the sports page. So this is, guys, the overview of entire newspaper, so that you can understand that what type of articles you need to focus upon and what type of articles are just to be seen in headlines, etc. Fine. So that is about the overview, and now let's discuss all relevant articles one by one in detail. Okay, so every class we start with the GS quotation, and this GS quote can be used to complement your answers in GS mains exam. paper 1, 2, 3, 4, as well as in essay. So today, okay, the quotation that we are going to take, fine. To deny people their human right is to deny their very humanity. To deny people their human right is to deny their very humanity. Guys, it is being provided that a human existence means that a person has been disposed with some inalienable rights, and if their human rights is not given to them, it means that their very existence is being denied. So the rights cannot be deprived from the human existence. We can use this particular idea in GS paper number 2 as well as in GS paper number 4. Now, moving on, and let's take the first article. So first article is, what are biocomputers and how do they function? What are biocomputers and how do they function? So this particular article will see with respect to prelims examination also, because such kind of concepts can be asked, as well as this article will also see with respect to the GS paper number 3, issues related to science and technology. Okay. Now, basically, guys, what has happened recently, the researchers at JHU, that is the John Hopkins University, are trying to develop these biocomputers. Now, before understanding it, we need to have little bit of a background information first. So basically, guys, when we talk about the human body has a lot of mysteries in it which has not been resolved up till now. And one organ which has not been decoded till now is human brain. Okay, so basically, guys, though there is a lot of research that has been done on the working of human brain, but actually within human brains there are the millions and millions of neurons, fine, and how the human thinking actually works. Okay, how humans actually think. Okay, many things have not been discovered. Okay, up till now the researchers, what they have done, they have tried to study the brains of the rat, and by the functioning of the rat's brain, they have tried to deduce many conclusions that how actually a human brain works. But still there are many limitations in that particular model where we are trying to understand the rat's brain. So therefore now the researchers, what they have done, they have actually developed the 3D culture of brain tissue, lab grown brain tissue. They have grown the small tissues of brain in the lab. How they have grown that? They have grown that by using the human stem cells. So human stem cells are the indifferentiated cells which can be used to which can be used to grow them in organs. So here now, by using the human stem cells, what they are doing, they are cultivating the brain tissues in the lab. Okay, and these brain tissues that they are growing in the lab, they have been called as the brain organoids. Brain organoids. Okay, and these brain tissues are very small in size, around 4 mm. Now what they are now, so they have grown the brain, and now they need to study the functioning of this particular brain. But guys, for brain to function, it needs to have certain inputs. Okay, for example, what are the inputs? Touch, smell, vision are the inputs. Okay, so guys, let's say I smell that there is a smell of something burning that's coming. Okay, then I will react. Okay, so when I will react, or let's say I see a vision that a tiger is coming in front of me, what I will do? I will run. So my brain has done some activity when I found that vision that a tiger is coming towards me. Okay, so brain needs certain inputs to act, and these inputs can be touch, smell, vision. But how these brains which are in the lab, they will get that input? So for that particular thing, what the researchers have done, moreover, they also need the micro environment which is there in the body, that is blood circulation and all such kind of things. So what the researchers have done, now they have planted these human brains in the these human brains have been transplanted into the rats. They have been transplanted into the rats, and by that particular thing, these brain tissues of the humans in the rats, now they are getting the inputs. Okay, this is something that is happening. But still the environment is of a rat. Okay, so therefore now the researchers, what they are doing, what they are trying to do, they are going to go one step ahead. And here now the researchers at JHU, John Hopkins University, they will combine these brain organoids, the lab grown brains, with the modern computing methods. What they will do, they will plant these brains in the flexible structures, okay, with which will be attached with the modern day sensors, and these modern day sensors will give them inputs of touch, inputs of vision, etc. Okay, and basically these machines in which these brains will be planted, these machines will be called as biocomputers. So what will happen, the brain cultures that have been grown in lab, they will be coupled with the real world sensors, real world input output devices, and even these computers in which these brains will be planted, they will track the activity within the brain that is going on when the brain is being fed with some kind of input. So it will track that entire activity. Okay, just a minute guys. So it will track that entire activity. Okay, and by that particular thing, the scientists, they will try to understand the processing power of the brain, biological basis behind cognition, that is understanding, learning, and all other neurological disorders. The researchers will try to understand. So this is something that's guys going to uh, that's going to come here. Okay, and this can be a very important development. This can be a very important development, fine, in the field of science. So that is all about this particular article, guys. I hope that you have understood it. Fine. uh, just a minute. Okay guys, please let me know if it is clear or not. Yes guys, please let me know if it is clear or not. If you have any issue, you can ask that with me. Fine. Okay guys, so that's all about this particular article. Now we'll move to next article. Regulators proposal on Rajasthan power line flouts Supreme Court order, threatens bustard. Now let's understand this particular article. So this particular article, guys, will see with respect to prelims examination as well as for GS paper number 3 environment conservation. We will see this article. Now actually, before going in this article, we need to first focus on some background information that is important. So this article is actually talking about Great Indian Bustard. So let me show you the photograph of Great Indian Bustard also. So guys, here you can see the Great Indian Bustard. Now when we talk about Great Indian Bustard, it is one of the most endangered bird species of India. Fine. So Great Indian Bustard, it has been given the status of critically endangered bird. Okay. It has just 150 members in India. 150. Now the Great Indian Bustards, 95% population, it is found in Rajasthan. 95% population is found in Rajasthan, and just 150 of these Great Indian Bustards have been left in Rajasthan. Now there are many reasons that why population of Great Indian Bustard is going on. Reason number one is that these Great Indian Bustards, they often fly to Pakistan where they are hunted, they are poached, because wildlife laws are not very much stringent over there. So because of their hunting and poaching, their population has went down, particularly in the Pakistan. And then other reasons are also there. Okay, the other reason is also there, that is collusion or electrocution of Great Indian Bustard with the power transmission lines. Now see this particular thing. Rajasthan happens to be a state which has a lot of potential to deploy the solar power plants. So when these solar power plants have been deployed and when the electricity generated there is to be transferred to the other place, obviously that will happen through the electricity wires. What happens many number of times, these Great Indian Bustards, now see, they have very poor frontal vision. Because of that particular thing, they often get trapped in these wires and they get electrocuted, and large number of bustards have died because of these transmission lines. Then hunting, already we have discussed. Habitat loss because of the developmental activities, agricultural expansion, their population has went down. Now for that particular thing, government is running certain programs also for preservation of Great Indian Bustard. For example, species recovery program is being taken up under the integrated development of wildlife habitats. Okay, so this is the species recovery program, it is being taken up. Moreover, project Great Indian Bustard has also been started by the Rajasthan government, where the Great Indian Bustards, they are being breded in enclosures. Okay, but still their population has declined. And for their revival, what happened few days back, not actually days, a few months back, we have covered it as also. Few months back, Supreme Court ordered Supreme Court ordered that electricity transmission lines, they need to be buried underground so that these birds don't get electrocuted. Now, in this particular direction, CEA has given one order. CEA, that is Central Electricity Authority, has given one particular order. They have said this particular thing, that the power lines, only the power lines below 33 kV 33 kV need to go underground, and other power lines, that is the power lines above 33 kV, they will be fitted with bird diverters. Okay, now this particular thing is being criticized by the activist, by environmentalists. They say this particular thing, that a majority of power lines from Rajasthan solar projects have a rating above 33 kV. Majority of lines are above 33 kV, and you have said that only the lines below 33 kV will go underground. So it means that large number of wires will still be above the ground, and these birds will get trapped in that, they will get electrocuted. Now, what is the reason that they are not being buried underground? The reason is, there are multiple reasons. The biggest reason is of cost. Okay, now putting them underground will increase the cost of the project. Many projects will become unviable. Then the maintenance will also become difficult if they are buried underground. Okay, so these are some of the problems. Okay, and this is the entire development. If we read the article, the heading, regulators proposal on Rajasthan power lines flouts SC order. Okay, so CEA, that is the Central Electricity Authority, is the regulator of power sector. So this is order is going against the Supreme Court as well as the conservation of the bird. Fine. Now, guys, 95% of these bird species, as I have told you, is found in Rajasthan, but some of the species are also, some of the birds are also found in Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat as well. Fine. Now, moving on to next article. Okay. Nations secure pact to protect marine life in the high seas. Fine, marine life in the high seas. Okay, we can use insulated power line. Why they are not coated with plastic insulation? Okay, see, basically the point is, see, the issue is that apart from electrocution, when they get entangled, okay, that is also a very big issue. So the point is that their basically not only the electrocution is a problem, that they getting trapped is also a very big issue. Okay, now moving to the next article. Nation secure pact to protect marine life in the high seas. Okay, so basically, guys, the region, we know this particular thing, that suppose this is the let's say the coastal boundary of a nation. Now we know this particular thing, that first of all we have the territorial waters 12 nautical miles, and then till 200 nautical miles we have the EEZ, that is the exclusive economic zone. Now, after the EEZ, that is the exclusive economic zone, the seas, the water that we have, these waters are called as the high seas. These waters are called as the high seas. Now, high seas are those oceans, those waters which don't come under any legal boundary. Okay, they are free areas. They can be used for navigation or other purposes. Now, the point is that, guys, 40% of the 40% of the region of the world, it comes under high seas. And up till now there was no formal treaty, there was no formal agreement to protect the high seas. Okay, often it has been seen that there are the oil spills that have happened between the high seas. Many number of times there is a lot of waste material that has been dumped. Many number of times containers, they get dumped in the high seas because of some accidents and all such kind of things, and we have polluted these high seas. Okay, so for protection and for conservation there was a need of a treaty, and from last 20 years, the countries are trying to negotiate a treaty on high seas. Okay, now what has happened after these 20 years attempts? Finally, for the first time, United Nations members, they have agreed on a unified treaty to protect biodiversity in the high seas. Now, this particular negotiations have concluded in the US, New York, and now there will be a final framework that will be issued, that what are obligations of the different countries, what are the obligations of the vessels, ships, how the high seas can be protected. Now, this particular treaty will also create a new body, will also create a new organization to manage the conservation of the ocean life. Okay, and this is actually very much important because already under the United Nations Biodiversity Conference, a pledge has been taken to protect 30% of the planet's waters as well as the 30% of planet's land. And when we talk about the protecting the planet's water, protecting the high seas is also very important. So therefore, this particular treaty is going to be very important. Fine. So this is something, and guys, as now the countries have been agreed, over the coming days, the body, its mandate, its features, everything will be then notified. So up till now, this is the information that we have, and already I have told you that 40% of the earth's surface is covered by the high seas, so protecting them is very much important. Okay, moreover, it has also been provided that this new treaty will also lay down the ground for conducting environmental impact assessment for commercial activities in the ocean. So a lot of commercial activities going on in ocean, including the passage of the seas and all such kind of a things. So how it is impacting? So provisions of EIA, environmental impact assessment, will also be made. So that is all about this article. Now moving to the next article. Away from the spotlight, away from the spotlight, India holds conference of global intelligence chiefs. Okay, we'll see this particular article. Some of the basically, as we will talk about this conference, fine. Basically, such kind of informations can be used in international negotiations, such international treaties, etc., that are there in the news. Often they are asked in the prelims examination, so therefore it will be important there. Moreover, within the GS paper number 2 also, find international organizations, international treaties, international platforms, India's role in that. There also we can use this article. Now, as we know already that for 2023, India is hosting the G20 presidency. And as India is hosting the G20 presidency for 2023, there will be the meetings, more than 200 meetings that will be held throughout this particular year. Right now, what has happened? India has hosted two of the high profile meetings within the G20. We have already discussed them also. One is the foreign ministers, one is the foreign ministers meet. Okay, we have also seen that when this foreign ministers meet was hosted, at that point of a time there was a problem also that came, that a joint statement could not be issued because of the differences between Russia, China, and on another hand US and other western countries. And apart from the foreign ministers meet, Raisina dialogue is also being conducted. Raisina dialogue is also being conducted. Raisina dialogue, it is a basically Raisina dialogue. It is a conference which discusses on many of the geopolitical issues. Raisina dialogue is organized by the ORF, that is the Observer Research Foundation, which is a think tank, and Ministry of External Affairs. So in foreign ministers meet and Raisina dialogue, countries had participated. Now on the sidelines of this, India has also hosted the second conference of intelligence and security chiefs. Second conference of intelligence and security chiefs. Now this conference is called as the Raisina Security Dialogue, and in this particular conference, the intelligence agencies chief and representatives of 26 countries have participated. And what is the objective of this Raisina Security Dialogue? Objective is that so that the chiefs of the intelligence agencies, they come together and they can discuss the most pressing issues, that is counter-terrorism, radicalization, drug trafficking, illegal arms smuggling. Okay, so all these particular issues are discussed here, because understand that when we talk about guys, about the cooperation on these particular themes, the inter-country cooperation is very much essential. Now, basically this Raisina Security Dialogue, it is modeled on the Munich Security Conference, fine, as well as on the lines of the Shangri-La Dialogue. So Shangri-La Dialogue, Munich Security Conference are also the similar conferences where the security chiefs will come together and will discuss. So on that particular line we are organizing. Now in India, who organizes this particular Raisina Security Dialogue? Okay, this is organized by the RAW, that is Research and Analysis Wing, which is India's external intelligence agency, as well as it is also organized by the National Security Council Secretariat. Okay, now I have told you that this is the second version. So this particular Raisina Security Dialogue has been started since April 2022. Since April 2022, it has been started, and now 2023 was the second edition of that. Okay, so this is guys about it. I hope that you have understood this particular conference. Okay, now moving on. Utilizing India's moment under the diplomatic sun. Utilizing moment under the diplomatic sun. Now this article will see with respect to GS paper number 2, India's role at international stage. Okay, GS paper number 2. Now the article guys is talking about that right now if we see India is playing a very important role at multiple fronts. Okay, India is playing a very important role at multiple fronts. Just a minute. Guys, just give me 5-10 seconds more. Okay, fine. So we see this thing that right now India is playing a pivotal role at many of the organizations at multiple fronts. For example, in 2023, India is hosting G20 and is chairman of G20. Then we are also an important player in quadrilateral security dialogue, which has 4 countries: India, US, Australia, and Japan. Then for 2023, guys, India will also be hosting the chairmanship for Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is an organization for the Eurasian countries. Okay, and at the same time, India is also playing a very important role in the Global South. Few weeks back, we have seen that Global South Summit was also hosted by India. Okay, so India is playing a very important role in multiple international organizations. And we have seen this particular thing that since independence, India's leaders have given a lot more importance to India's foreign policy and has provided this particular thing that India's rich culture, India's rich history, India's rich demography, India's economic strength, India's people to people ties, fine, have given India had given an important place to India in the global politics, okay, in global affairs. Now, when we see the present times, we have seen that how India is trying to assume the important role. So India has very cleverly used the failure of the post-war world order. We have seen this thing that post-war, okay, first of all, the World War II. Post World War II, we created the United Nations, and it was thought that stability and the peace in world will come. But we found that for nearly 45 years, there was the Cold War that is going on. After the Cold War ended, the unipolarity came, and it was thought that now the stability will come in the world. But now again we see that the new challenges are coming. So the post-war world order has been there in crisis. Moreover, recently we see this thing that there is an aggressively rising China, which have also prompted the world leaders to react. And here, everybody, because they want to control China, the meaningful partner for the Western country now becomes India. So India as well as the Indo-Pacific region becomes important. So therefore, the countries are giving India such importance. Secondly, we see this particular thing that I already told you that India is the chair of G20 as well as SCO as well as G20. Now, also very craftily, India has tried to ensure that during the Ukraine war, India is not alienating any one particular country. For example, guys, neither we have clearly supported the sanctions against the Russia, so we have been able to carry forward India Russia relations in a better way. Moreover, at the same time, we have also ensured that we are not irritating the USA as well. So we have tried to maintain a balance between Ukraine, Russia on one hand and between USA on the other hand. That is something that has happened. Okay. Now, what does India want in the present times? What does India wants in the present times? So basically, India wants a seat at a global high table, at the global platforms. We need a seat. Even we have seen multiple number of times that how India aggressively pushes forward to get the permanent chair in the United Nations Security Council. But that is actually very difficult because the permanent five countries also have China, and China will never allow India to be a permanent member at the UNSC. So therefore, what India is doing, India is saying that entire United Nations Security Council has become dysfunctional. India is delegitimizing the entire UNSC because we know this particular thing, that in permanent five member, there is no representation of Africa. Asia is underrepresented, Latin America is not represented, South America is not represented. So it is undemocratic. Why? Because the Western world has been overrepresented, but the other regions where actually the population lives, they are underrepresented. So it is, we want that in order to be more inclusive, we need to have different forums. Okay. Now, moreover, what has happened, India has also understood the instrumental utility of global south. What do we understand by global south? So guys, global north means the western developed countries of the northern hemisphere, and global south, it is a kind of a grouping that means the developing countries. Okay. So within the global south, India is trying to become its leader. Why? Because if India will not claim the leadership of global south, China can use the global south. So India is doing that particular thing. Then at the same time, India has to face multiple challenges also at the international platforms. What are the multiple challenges? Number one challenge is that, fine, uh, that though we try to claim we are the chair at G20, we are the chair at SCO, we are also trying to be the leader of the global south, but China will not let India to take the leadership of global south very easily. China will push itself as more credible leader of global south. So we need to deal with the China also here. Then second issue, guys, that comes here is that optics and framing. Optics and framing. What do we mean by the optics and framing? See, the actions that you are doing, how they are being perceived, and how your actions are being framed at the international stage. So see this particular thing, that what has happened. uh, Now today, is New Delhi making friends during this diplomatic high, or is offending more than befriending? So we have not taken the clear position in Russia-Ukraine war. By this thing, are we trying to balance both Russia and USA, or we are offending the both? So when you are trying to make multiple parties happy, there might be a possibility that you might not make even a single person happy, and you will offend more and more people. Okay. When moreover, it has also been said that India's diplomatic language is also needed to be refined more and more. So confident nations not talk like reactionaries. So when the Indian diplomats, when Indian ambassadors are going at the international stage, and when they are representing India, they need to have more finesse. They need to have a more controlled diplomatic language. That is something that India has to focus upon. Thirdly, it has been said that balancing. Thirdly, it is talking about this particular thing, that balancing opposites always has its limits. Okay, India not taking a position, it might also make India to be perceived as India is indecisive. And if a nation is indecisive, it often cannot cannot make a genuine mark on the world politics. So this is something that India needs to focus upon. Okay. And then finally, there is also one more danger of government using diplomatic high such as this towards domestic political ends. Okay. So basically, India's success in the foreign policy that can be used to achieve the political goals. For example, 2024 elections are coming. So these particular global victories can be used just to showcase government favorably for elections only. That is not something we need to use it for further geopolitical interest. Okay, so that is all, guys, all these particular things that have been there in this article. And now moving to next article, that is the hardships of career in Ayurvedic practice. Guys, if you are watching the video and if you are thinking that this video is helping you out, please do hit the like button because it helps our channel to grow. So please guys do hit the like button if you think that it is helping. It takes a lot of effort to make these notes every day. The hardship of a career in Ayurvedic practice. We'll see this particular article with respect to GS paper number 2. Fine. GS paper number 2. Reforms needed in alternative medication systems. Reforms needed in alternative medication systems. Okay, the hardships of a career in Ayurvedic practice. Now, guys, the article is actually talking about the alternative medications. Now, when we talk about the medications, on one hand, we have allopathy. Fine, and often it is said that allopathy is backed by science, allopathy is backed by research. On another hand, we have alternative medical sciences, for example, Ayurveda, yoga, yoga, fine, Siddh, Unani, homeopathy. Now, when we talk about the alternative medications, Ayurveda is one which we often take a pride about. Okay, that is something. But it is being said that amongst these alternative medications, Ayush, it is not the medical system of first choice for many people. If people, if let's say a person is diagnosed with the cancer, they will run towards the allopathic medications firstly and not towards the Ayurveda. This is something that has been there. It is being said that there is a lot of skepticism in the public mind about the soundness of the Ayurvedic theories. Is Ayurveda efficient? Is Ayurveda backed by science? There is always a kind of a skepticism about this particular thing. Okay, now the issue is that the Ayurveda has failed to keep pace with the intellectual and scientific advances of the times. Okay, this is something that has happened because Ayurveda, often a lot of research is not being done. What happens, often the practitioners, they depend on himself to discover the therapies which will actually work. So what happens, the practitioners themselves have to discover with the trial and error that what works in Ayurveda and what doesn't works in Ayurveda. And by this particular thing, actually what happens often they make a lot of mistakes and it erodes the practitioner's reputation. Okay, suppose if you have given a particular kind of medication to a person and it backfired, so your reputation will suffer a lot. So therefore, what can be done to help these Ayurvedic practitioners, and what can be done to make Ayurveda more and more acceptable? So we need to intervene through policy. We have to intervene through policy. Now it is being said that actually the Ayurveda practitioners can be used to provide the primary health care to people. Now see, primary care doctors, they are becoming an endangered species in India's healthcare system. We don't have the doctors, medical staff at the at the base level to provide the primary health care. Okay, so therefore, what we can do, we can train the Ayurveda graduates with a view to make them good primary care doctors. Okay, and when at the primary care level we are using the Ayurveda, and when we are using the Ayurveda trained doctor, it will help in two ways. Number one, a vigorous evidence based appraisal of Ayurvedic theories and practices can be done. Okay, so in primary care, fine, when you are treating people for fever, for cough, cold, all such kind of a things, there some Ayurvedic practices can be used and it can help in establishing in Ayurveda what works and what not. Evidence will be given. Secondly, statutory decision to allow Ayurveda graduates to practice modern medicine, fine, will also help them as well. Okay, so they will also be given the bridge courses where they will not only practice Ayurveda, they will also be learning about the allopathic practices. So it will help them also to learn the allopathy. So this is something that is to be done. Fine. This is something that is to be done. So guys, this is all about the crux of this particular article. Okay. There was a question on GIB in 2020. Sir, I have just started my preparation for UPSC 2024. Can I rely on your daily notes for pre and mains both? Deepika, see, we are covering the entire newspaper. Okay, all the important articles we are doing. Okay, so if anything has to come from current affairs, it is naturally coming from newspapers only. Even the magazines are made from newspapers. So if you are reading the newspapers, it will help you. Okay. Now, moving on to the next article. China increases defense spending by 7.2%. So guys, we see this thing that the Chinese government had announced the hike in defense spending by 7.2%, and now they will be spending around $225 billion on defense. $225 billion on defense in 2023. Now, the China has justified this thing, that they have said this particular thing, that they are doing it to deal with the complex security challenges. They are doing it for the complex security challenges. Now, what are the complex security challenges? Obviously, we see this particular thing that right now China is seeing, basically right now the China is trying to challenge the hegemony of the USA. Okay, and indirectly it is just an indication to the US, as well as it can also be an indirect indication to the India also, because India has many unresolved issues with the China on LAC. Okay, so that is something that has happened. However, you are not required to go too much in detail in this particular article. Just a heading is that you need to see. Okay, so India also need to be prepared for such kind of a thing. So that is all about it. And now let's take the mains practice question for today. So question reads, 2023 is the crucial year for India to strengthen strategic partnership, seek geopolitical concession, and create structure that enhance India's national security. Discuss. So guys, this is going to be a 10 marker question for GS paper number. Okay, that is all guys about it. I hope that you have understood it. And with this, we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. Guys, if you have liked the video, please do hit the like button. Please do subscribe to the channel, and please do share the initiatives to the other fellow aspirants as well. That is all for today. Thank you so much. How to read newspaper without wasting time on faltu topics. So Lalit, that is the reason that we take the overview in the start. So by that, try to understand that which articles are actually important for our examination.